Okay, I think everybody's in the chat room right now, so we probably can get this up and running. So I just want to welcome everyone to the fourth in the series of Zoom calls, which are presented by Castlebar Chamber of Commerce. Today's subject is all things digital marketing. My name is Bernard Hughes. I'm with the Castlebar Chamber of Commerce and also the Connacht Telegraph, and I'm standing in for Castlebar Chamber President John Mulroy, who, due to some work commitments, can't be here this afternoon. I want to thank Jared Kelly and Anne Condon from All About Sales for their help in organising today's events, Jared on the IT side and in setting up the whole setup and the way it will proceed. I also want to thank the Connacht Telegraph, my own organisation, for promoting this through their print and digital platforms. I want to welcome our guest speakers, Paraic Horkan and also Laura Hegarty, who we'll come to in a minute. And I want to let you know that if you have any questions, to please put them in the chat box, to which Anne will call out those questions after the presentations have taken place. Also, if you want to see the speakers on screen, if you go to the top of the screen on the speaker view and click on the side-by-side panel, you'll be able to see the presentation slides in front of you with the speakers to the right. Just might be a little bit more easy to see what's going on. So the topic for today's workshop is all things digital marketing, which has been is probably one of the biggest and fastest growing areas in business needs, and probably was something that was essential to a lot of businesses during the lockdown. So without further ado, I want to welcome Laura Hegarty, who is the a lecturer in digital marketing and media from GMIT, to give us a talk and a presentation on the subject. Thanks, Laura.
Okay, thanks, Bernard. So welcome everyone, and thanks for taking time out to participate in this webinar. So I'm going to start. I'm just going to share my screen, and I'm going to talk through a few little slides, and then I'm going to go into a demonstration. Okay. So I'm in presentation mode now. Can you all guys see me okay? Yes. Okay. You can hear me okay. All right. So just to talk, I suppose, all things, admit. Okay, so all things digital marketing. As I said, I'm, just let me click through the slides here. Oh, I've gone one. Sorry. Okay, sorry. I'm going back and forth there. Okay, so just I'll introduce myself and the two, I suppose, analytic tools that I wanted to present today was just to give businesses an insight into two tools that are free and that you could incorporate into your business to help with collecting data about your users. So the first one will be Google Analytics, and that's where you kind of look at the numbers. It's where you can figure out who's visiting your website. Okay, and then while we're looking at numbers and data, then if we move on to another tool called Hotjar, this is where we actually get to visualize in kind of a video format of what people are actually doing on our website. So I'm going to take you through both of those tools quite briefly to give you an insight into their interfaces. So just a little bit about me. So I'm a lecturer at GMIT in the School of Business. My background is in electronic and computer engineering and digital, and I previously would have worked with Ericsson, the National Council for the Blind, and CompuPac in Sligo. So that's just a little bit of expertise where I'm coming from. So I'm predominantly teaching in the enterprise and technology and also on the Mayo campus. So I'm teaching across the two campuses in the space of digital media, digital marketing and technology. Okay, so if it's a thing, I suppose Google Analytics, and if you're watching or hearing this for the first time and you're unaware of what Google Analytics is, it is probably the most popular analytic data tool, software tool on the market to be able to collect and gather data on your website traffic. It's a free tool. Obviously, companies can pay for more features. I'm just going to close the door because there's just a little bit of traffic noise here. There's a lot of farmers around, sorry. So, okay. So it's a free web tool, but businesses can pay, I think, up to 150,000 plus to have a lot more services and features available. But for the average website that you have hosted, the free version is absolutely perfect. And what it does, it helps analyze and get an insight into your website and the traffic behind it, where people have come from before they've come to your website, where they click on, countries they come from, devices, etc. So I'm going to give you a little insight into the interface in a second. And what it does, it gives you a good insight into, I suppose, how well your website's doing. And if it's a thing that you don't have viewers on your website, then a tool like this can help understand maybe why. You might need to revamp your website. You might need to change your content around. So this is a really good tool to help with your strategic business, especially in the online space. And we would have definitely seen from COVID, there are businesses who would never have had an online space. So now, you know, through tools like websites and using analytic data, you can get to find out a lot about your users all over the world. Okay, so the next tool that I'm going to talk about is Hotjar. And what Hotjar is, so when you think of analytics, you're going to think about data, numbers, figures, and stuff like that about your users. When we talk about Hotjar, this is where we're actually looking at what people are visually doing on your website. So when you go onto websites and you have the cookies message that pops up and you need to accept it, usually behind that, from a digital marketing point of view, it's where, when you read the terms and conditions, you can find out that there are tools like Google Analytics and Hotjar that are collecting data about your user behavior on the website. And it's really just from a marketing point of view, from a data collection point of view. So more than likely, a lot of websites that you go on already have these tools installed. And what Hotjar does is it gives you a real good insight into visually. So if you think of when all of you browse websites where you click, open different tabs, you know, play a video, this is actually real video files that are being created of your behavior on that particular website. So for example, the one in front of us here we see is a heat map. So this is a heat map, which is part of its features to allow you to see what are the most popular, I suppose, tabs that are being clicked on, and you can see the activity, whereas if stuff is in the blue, it's not as popular. Okay. What it also does on the top there is it just gives you a little visual where it can do recordings. Now it'll have a cutoff, obviously, from the free version, but it still will collect some videos. And then underneath that, then you have a conversion funnel. And the conversion funnel will allow you to kind of help collect data and help with your business decisions around conversions. So again, you know, I'll introduce you to the tools now from a demonstration point of view, just to give you an insight into their interface. Okay, so this side here. So the first one I'm going to do is Google Analytics. Okay, so this is Google Analytics. Now the website I'm going to use this on is the Digital West website. So actually, I wouldn't mind if all of you were to open up a tab, even on your website, in some browser, and if you just type in digitalwest.biz, B-I-Z, okay, if you could do that, or even on your mobile phone, you're going to see now activity of you guys coming on to the website. So I have Google Analytics installed on this website, and the Digital West, I'm sure you may have heard, it's 3 years running consecutively. So we're hopefully in January we'll have our 4th year running, and it's just where we bring speakers all over the, I suppose, the country to participate and just to share digital marketing expertise, etc. So in order to do this, all you need is a Gmail account, first of all. When you have a Gmail account, all you do then is register your website with Google Analytics. So I'm going to go down to the settings, so bottom left-hand corner, and I'm coming up here to account settings, and it is very, very simple to set up. You give
your slides are still showing. We're not seeing the website you're talking about.
Okay, just bear with me then. Here we go. Sorry. Okay, so it shared a different window. Can you see this now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so all I did was, this is the interface here of Google Analytics. Here, this is the interface, and when you meet the interface, so there's 6 users at the moment on this, and when you meet the interface, it gives you a little dashboard of kind of, you know, the visitors, trending over time, top devices that are used on your website, where in the world people are coming from, how often they may come on your website, when traffic, you know, would you know, how to say, have a peak and a valley where, you know, you've high traffic and low traffic. So usually you're met with the dashboard. And to set this all up very, very quickly, I'm going to go to the administration tab. And all you do is you go create account, and you give the account a name. And then when you move to the next step, then it's going to ask you for your domain name, which is the name of your website, and a few more clicks. And then that means you need to verify it. And all you do then to verify is you get a tracking code. Okay. Tracking code here, once you set it up, it's this little piece of data. You copy that, okay? Then you go to your website. So I've just opened up a WordPress website for the Digital West website. And all I've done is I have pasted the tracking code. So what this does is it basically links my Google Analytics account to my website. And from there on, the data will start to collect of users that come on my website. Okay, that's it in a nutshell. But I'm just going to go back to analytics, and I'm just going to show you a small little bit of information that, you know, you can learn about your audience. So at the moment, I can tell that there's 8 people on the website, that it's 50-50. So 4 of you are on the mobile and 4 of you are on the desktop. When I zoom in here, it can show me the different locations around the country that you guys are coming from. Okay. If I go to audience, and I go to overview, this is where it gives you an insight into your audience. Now, what I kind of wanted, so this is real life traffic. You've got audience acquisition is where you find out where people have come from before they come to your website. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the date for when the Digital West event was on, which was back in January. So I'm just going to go back, say the 1st of January, and you can compare month on month to see how busy your website is over different months. Maybe you might run an email campaign, for example. And by looking in here, you can see, you know, the traffic and the peaks and the valleys of those campaigns to see one against the other. There's loads of different things you can do. And I'm going to point you to a resource to help you learn about Google Analytics after. So what I've done here is I have selected the 1st of January to the 31st. I think it was a Tuesday, towards the end of January that we had our event. So this tells me 680 people came to the website on that day. So we can see here 146 people came remotely onto our website to stream our event, which it was available to stream. It can tell you new users versus old users. So it can tell you who's new to the site versus who is not. If I come down here to acquisition, which is your traffic, and I go to overview and I can see channels. I hope I'm not going too fast. Here, direct is people who type in the website. Organic, if I click on organic, this is how people organically find it. Now, sometimes the information may not always be there, but most of the time it is. Go back to overview again. So like, for example, if you advertise on the Connacht Telegraph or on LinkedIn, they will be able to tell you the people that came to your website came from that traffic. So it really does narrow down. If you have campaigns and you have AdWords, for example, it will allow you to collect the data as well using your AdWords campaign. Behavior is another example where you can get an idea of how users are behaving around your website. So for example, okay, you can see here the pages. So the / is basically someone comes directly onto the home page. And the reason why it's so high is that there was a link on the home page that brought you to the event to stream. You can see people looked at the events page, people looked at the co-hosts. So it gives you a real detailed view of the web pages that were, you know, I suppose most used on that day or within that month. So this is a tool, I suppose it's hard to kind of summarize it in a few minutes, but it's a tool that can really help grow your business if it's something you don't have already installed on your website. And my only tip would be, when you install Google Analytics, it's really important to link the Google Analytic account to somebody of hierarchy in the business, because, you know, employers or employees move on. So if it's linked to somebody maybe who's the digital marketing person and they change jobs in a couple of years and it's linked to their email address, it's hard to get that data back if that person leaves, because it's linked to their account. So I guess my point is to create a Gmail account at a high level that you know will always be there. Okay. So that is Google Analytics, and by all means I can be contacted if there's more questions. Now the other tool, so that was quite visual, it's on numbers, it's on countries, so it's kind of more numbers based, whereas Hotjar, and again I had set this up for the Digital West website, Hotjar is a tool that allows you to collect video recordings. It allows you, I'll just go back here to the dashboard. Okay, so you can do a heat map, right, where it can tell you, as I said, the most popular activity on your website. You can look at recordings. So in your recordings in here, and examples, those 4 hours were probably me. So at the moment, in the last 12 months, there's 75 out of 100 recordings. And I think at the basic version, after 100, it caps. So I'm just going to open up, and you can have mobile users, you can have favorites. And the idea of using Hotjar, again, very quickly, all I did with Hotjar is to verify your account. Once you set it up, you link it to your website. You come over to WordPress, which is where my website is installed. And again, a little bit like Google Analytics, it is just a code that you copy and paste it into a plugin called Header and Footer to be able to track the data on your website. That's an initial verification that you do at the beginning, and you don't need to do it after that. Now you can also install Hotjar and Google Analytics plugins on your website as well. So I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to play maybe just this one here, right? So I'm taking it, it was on the 22nd of June. There were 11:15. They were on the website for 3 minutes, 28 seconds, and they viewed one page, which was the GMIT courses. They're from Ireland, it's just a user ID, and I'm just going to play it. You get a good sense of what this tool can do from a recording. So this was someone coming on to the site. Okay. Okay, so that's not a great example. I'm going to pick another one. Right, let's scroll down. Let's look at maybe this one here. This is in Germany, because I just want you to see the cursor moving around. Okay, so you can see there, this is where they come onto the website. Now, hopefully there'll be a bit of activity, because if some of you have many tabs open, if the user gets distracted and they leave the web page open and there's no activity, it kind of stays still like this. So again, this is where, from a, I suppose, a company's point of view, where you may need to filter down and just get an idea of user behavior on the website. Let's open another one. I should have had this. Okay, here, there's a bit more activity on this. So I'm a company and I'm watching this for the very first time. This is showing me where people are going, what they're clicking on. It goes to show you what web pages might be more popular than others, and is there a need for some web pages there. It gives you an idea, okay, they're concentrating, they're reading here, they're still scrolling, and so on. So this person came straight into the blog, okay, and they're starting to look at it. So this is kind of a real visual and an insight into users on your web page to get a good idea of the customer behavior and their navigation around your website. So I'm just going to kind of finish the demonstration there. I'm just going to close these windows and I'm going to just finish my presentation. So there are two tools, very, very briefly, I understand, but at least it might give you a little insight. So as part of one of the courses that I teach on, it's in digital media marketing. It's a blended course, it's once a month, and these are the types of tools that we teach our students, kind of really that they can learn in college, and then they can hit the ground running at work and apply these tools to their practice. Okay, so if you want to find out more about the digital marketing courses, in this case, for example, we received funding again for Springboard, which is the 3rd year running. So part of these 90 credit masters, 30 of them are funded by Springboard. So kind of, in other words, 3,000 or is 3,000 to do, say, the cert of this master's. So kind of 1/3 of this master's, and then work can pay for the other, sorry, Springboard pay 90% funding, and then your work could pay the other 10%. So in other words, you get 30 credits really for free if your company is willing to pay that extra 10%. So this is funding that's going to start again January 2021 in the academic year. So if it's something that you're interested in relation to digital marketing, then that's something that you can check out. But on top of that, GMIT have a load more courses that have gotten funding. For example, there is digitalization for SMEs, there's network cybersecurity, there's IT project management, there's blockchain. So there are a lot more courses that have been funded, and that's kind of in the kind of technology business, but there are more in many other kind of streams. And I'm going to show you the website at the very end where you can go. I have links at the end here as well for more information. So I can share these slides with you for reference. So if you want to learn a little bit more about Google Analytics, you can actually do a basic Google Analytics course for beginners to allow you to upskill and to learn about it, because there's no point installing a tool like Google Analytics unless you know how to use it and to find out what type of data you want to collect. So that is something that perhaps you may be interested in. These are all links here. So to the Mayo, the Galway, or to GMIT in total with all the Springboard courses that they have, Google Analytics, how to become certified, and Hotjar. So the last thing I just wanted to show you then was just to go back to my website here. So again, all I'm doing is going on to the GMIT website and just to tell you with the courses that are available and Springboard courses. So Springboard is just assisted funding to allow you to upskill, to reskill, and it's funded through the government. So it kind of gives you a good initiative to, if it helps financially. But obviously there are loads of other courses. So you've engineering, you've computing, you've business, you have nursing and social care, you have blockchain. So it was just to kind of point you to those, just in case you have an interest in other areas kind of outside of this. But by all means, I can be contacted if you have any other questions. So I think that's me.
Thanks very much, Laura. That's excellent. It's absolutely brilliant to see an explanation of how the dynamics of a couple of tools on your computer can help understand the way traffic works, the way followings work, and the way that people engage from different parts of the country or the world. And it's brilliant that this is all on our doorstep here at GMIT, and the fact that it's funded as well, I suppose, means that so many people that wouldn't be aware of this type of programming and technology is literally on their doorstep and funded, that they can improve their understanding of how to best work their internets and their digital media to help their business. If anybody has any questions, could they put them in the chat box? And also it'd be great if you let us know who you are. Just let us know your name and company that you represent in the chat box as well. So now I'm going to hand you over to Paraic Horkan, joint owner and founder of the Horkans Group, to talk about digital and the way it might have impacted on him previously and what he how he applies it going forward. So Paraic, you're welcome.
Hi Bernard, hi guys. Laura, I'll definitely be signing up to the course. Just a little bit about Horkans. As most people probably know in Castlebar, Horkans are synonymous with Horkans Garden Centre, but the company also has two other companies, one Pet World and Pet Food Depot. So as a group of companies, we have 14 stores throughout the country and 3 websites. And I suppose the big learning for us, particularly during COVID, has been the huge surge online. So particularly on the garden centre side, we've seen and mainly because people, I suppose, were cocooning, people were at home and they were looking for other ways to access garden products in particular. So it's been a great learning curve for us the last 6 to 8 weeks, the whole digital business and the digital side and the importance of an online store. And as Laura says, we use Google Analytics in our company, and we treat the websites very much like we treat any of the stores. So it's important to have somebody that is totally responsible for the web, for stocking, for merchandising, for content, and the whole marketing side of each of the websites. We use Google Analytics really as a KPI to measure sales versus target, average sale transaction, to look at where people are coming from. It'll also tell you whether they're male or female, and where they're shopping from. And it's a very easy tool to use, but a very, very informative tool. And it really brings home to us the importance of data. And Bernard has always sold the Connacht Telegraph to me that 50% of the marketing that we spend, you don't really know is it going to be successful or not. And really the learning from using Google Analytics is the importance of data and the importance of seeing where your investment on marketing is spent and where it's actually your traffic is coming from. And I suppose that has been the big learning for us, particularly since COVID in late spring. We have used both traditional medias like RTE and Midwest Radio and the Connacht Telegraph and other normal marketing platforms to drive people to our online sales. And that has been very, very successful, both not just on the garden side, but also on our Pet World site and our Pet Food Depot site. And we literally went from, maybe 50 or 60 orders a week in March in the garden centre to several thousand per week. So from a logistical point of view, we had a huge scaling up to do, but very successful. And from that, we have garnered a completely new database in Cork and Waterford and Wicklow and Dublin and right around the country. It's been a phenomenal success for us. But particularly I'd endorse what Laura was saying about the Google Analytics. It's a very powerful tool. You can look at any period, you can compare any period. It will also give you things like your top best sellers online. And we found it a brilliant tool for telling us the trends as we came into COVID, because garden centres were one of the last businesses to close before COVID kicked in. And we could see the trend within the business, but also the trend online. And for us, the trend was very much about people going back to the basics of growing their own potatoes and their seeds and their bulbs, but also spending money on their homes, their lifestyle. So garden furniture and barbecues, and people just, I suppose, investing in their properties to enhance their experience at home. And that Google Analytics, being able to look at the trends that were coming down the line, helped us in terms of stock procurement. And it helped us with the reopening of the stores. These stores are back open now 3 weeks, and we were well prepared for the surge of business, mainly because the trend we were seeing online. So, cash used to be the thing that was king, and anymore it's data, and the amount of data that you can garner, particularly from your websites, is invaluable. So it's very, very important. So similar with the Pet World sites, we're seeing a similar trend, a huge upsurge in online activity. We expected as the stores reopened that would fall off, and while the curve is certainly beginning to dip, online is still extremely strong for us. It has remained very, very strong. And we're seeing quite a lot of older, if you think of the typical garden centre customer is plus 60. It's that type of age group. And up to now, they really haven't embraced the digital world to any great extent. But because of the lockdown, they're the people that are using Zoom with their families and they're buying online. And we've seen that over the last 3 weeks that they've continued to shop online. So in Horkans, we talk about the omni experience, that people don't just shop one way. They don't just come to the garden centre. They're now purchasing online, and they're purchasing in store, and they're purchasing through Facebook and all of that. We also use the Google Shopping. So we run a number of campaigns in Google Shopping, which is very successful as well. And again, using the Google Analytics to analyze our Google Shopping platforms. And also when we spend on marketing, Google AdWords, for example, we can see the reach, we can see the investment for every pound we spend, what's the value coming back to the site. The other tool that we use on the website is a tool called Pubble. So if you visit any of the Horkans or the Horkans Garden Centre website or Pet World website, right in the bottom corner is the Ask button. So it's a simple ask that flashes, and customers can reach out through Pubble to our team. So once you ask a question, a team member is assigned to that question. And we have found that invaluable as well for, again, being able to serve customers in a digital way. And Pubble allows you to put up, you can imagine the garden centre, the amount of questions we get, and it tends to be the same questions every year, like I answer on Midwest Radio every week. So with Pubble, you can put up frequently asked questions. So if somebody is asking, you know, how do I prune a rose, or when are the stores opening, or those typical questions you get asked on a regular basis, you can have an automatic answer that will give them video content or blog content or a PDF or whatever. So we find Pubble extremely powerful on the website in terms of customer interaction and customer engagement, and just providing that really good online customer service. So Bernard, that's been kind of our experience. It's been actually very positive. You know, I have been talking to a lot of the retailers in Castlebar, and you know, some sectors are finding it very difficult, but both on the pet side of it and the garden centre side of it, we have actually had probably the best year yet. And because we had the websites up ready, you know, for the last couple of years, and have been learning the whole digital sphere ourselves, we were ready to upscale when that volume of traffic came in. Now, it hasn't been without its sleepless nights as well. I mean, you can imagine moving from, you know, 50 or 60 orders to several thousand, you know, even small logistical things like boxes and tape, and working with DPD to deliver our produce, and all of that. You know, it certainly has come with a lot of learnings and a lot of opportunities. But as a company, we are going to invest more in the whole online and digital platform, and definitely Laura's course, it'll be certainly on my list, because, you know, the better you understand it, the better knowledge you have, definitely the more that you can gain from it. So I think I would be encouraging all businesses to certainly start looking at a website presence, consider digital marketing, and blend it with traditional marketing. It's not just all digital marketing. This year we ran a campaign with News Talk, 5 weeks with News Talk, 4 weeks with RTE Radio, probably 15 weeks with Midwest Radio. And so we've blended traditional marketing with online marketing as well. So it's important that you have that blend, and it's important to understand who your customer is and what platforms that they're on, because you obviously have to be, you know, fish where there's fish, as they say, and it's important to understand your customer. So Horkans customer, it may not be everybody's customer, so it's just understanding who your customer is and make sure you're marketing and putting up your message there. But that really has been our learning. So I would endorse everything that Laura says in terms of the various tools, and particularly Google Analytics. And we use within the Horkans, we have moved away from Microsoft to using the Google Suite in terms of sharing files, and that whole G Suite has been very, very useful over the last 2 years in terms of communication through the business, in terms of sharing information and working remotely and working online. So that's kind of my pitch anyway.
Okay, thank you, Paraic. I think that's fair play to Anne and Jared, and particularly organising a brilliant contrast where we got to look under the engine of what happens on a digital IT basis from Laura, and then making a contrast to what Paraic has done on an everyday basis to keep his business up and running and to push forward through digital marketing. And also the fact is that while digital marketing is such a huge growth area, that the traditional forms of publishing and marketing and promoting yourself through printed newspapers and radio is also an essential part of the mix. So thank you very much. I think it was a great contrast. I'm going to hand you over now to Anne Conlon just for some questions that some of those in the chat room may have. Anne?
Great, thanks me and Bernard, and thanks Laura and Paraic for your presentations. They were brilliant. And congratulations, Bernard, to you on incoming president of the Castlebar Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to congratulate you on that. He looks really surprised there, but congratulations, Bernard, on it. So just first of all, welcome people who've come into the room. We have Ray McDonald there from the Westward Scanlon. I think you're the lorry people in Strokestown. Yeah, you're very welcome. We have Sue, who is a student actually in GMIT in marketing. And we also have Monica, who's a lecturer in GMIT. And we have Anne King from First Choice Credit Union and Kenny O'Brien, I think from Blue Properties. So you're all very welcome. Some people just put it into the chat. But I'm going to first of all come to you, Laura, with some questions. I've just 3 questions for you, Laura. So first of all, just to say that I actually know Laura because just before Christmas, I had seen on the Connacht Telegraph Facebook page, the master's course was being advertised and I actually applied for it. So Laura is actually one of my lecturers, so she is. So, and she's a superb lecturer, and I knew nothing about Google Analytics and I didn't know anything about Hotjar, but it has made a huge difference to my business. I didn't even know what the WordPress back engine looked like on my website. So I've actually went and built a website, anneconlon.ie is my college assignment one, where I've Google Analytics and I have Hotjar on it, which Laura has kindly come and helped me a few times because I was trying to work out how to do it. So it's been a fantastic course, and I'd encourage anybody to really go to the GMIT in Castlebar and have a look, because the lecturers are so approachable, so they are, and I've learned so much, and it's really practical things. And I just said to Laura, she's already given me my mark, so I'm not looking for anything else off.
I'll pay you later.
Yes. But, you know, I didn't know anything about this in January, and yet I was able to build a website. I was able to put on the Google Analytics and Hotjar and do loads of different things. And so I've done other masters before, and you don't learn them as quick. So it's really practical, that has an impact on the business. So the first question is, and you're in the hot seat today now, Laura, is what is it going to look like, do you think, this space within the next 3 years, digital media and marketing?
I think a lot of businesses who may not have had an online presence would have had a lot of food for thought over the last couple of months. Because I suppose, as Paraic touched on there, they already had an online presence, they had their products up online. So they were, I suppose, ahead and kind of in that space where people could do their transactions and could do their buy-in. So I do think a lot of businesses, and I know in relation to one course that's funded, that we got funded for, again for another year, is digitalization for SMEs. Now again, it's blended, it's based on the Mayo campus, but people come from around the country. It's going to be in its 2nd year running. And that course is at a level 6. So it's for businesses maybe who don't have an online space. And they want to really think about the kind of digital marketing, the little technology tools that will help them get into that space to have and grow their business. So while the one you're doing is a master's level at level 9, if people are not kind of at that space, there are courses, you know, of that might be a little bit more, I suppose, not, as you know yourself, it's a heavy course. So so I think it probably allowed a lot of businesses to reflect and think about the online space and think about having a presence online, and that it's something that really, if you don't have an online, like even a website that might not have a lot of content, but it has a presence, it has an email address, it has a contact, it has a name that someone can call, that you're making the first contact there. But by not even having a website, you know, you're kind of out of that global reach, and that's what it is. Online is a global reach, and when you just have a website, you know, you still have a phone that you can ring. But people now, when you hear someone's name or someone's business, well, I'll speak for myself, by default I nearly open my mobile phone or look at it and type it in to a browser to kind of look it up. And if you don't have that space, you know, you're not easily found. So the likes of having an online presence is definitely something that I think a lot of businesses would really start to think about moving and migrating to.
And is it right to say that our social media posts should really be moving our traffic towards our website so we can measure it, or is it the opposite way around, the website moving our traffic to social media? Which way is better?
I think having both is really, really important. I know when you go onto websites, you can there are little plugins that you can download for social sharing functionality, but I think your website is where people go to learn about your business, to learn about the company. So social media is probably more of a community like a community presence where people can share, like maybe campaigns, can share little bits of community activity for a business. But I think having both is really, really important, and they can complement each other. But just something to be mindful of is when you are building your website, for your social network, I wouldn't have it kind of at the forefront and maybe down in the bottom corner or the top corner, because you don't want to lose your audience and click on Facebook or click on a social network and leave your website. You want them to navigate. So I'm not saying make it hard for them to find, your little social networks, but just and that's something that we've learned from our students is, you become easily distracted, and then once you're into Facebook, then you get distracted by something else and you may not come back. So it's just little things like that, but definitely having both for like a collaborative community as well as a professional presence.
Okay, so what have you learned and the college learned during COVID-19?
Actually, in relation to, I suppose I'm going to look at it in two different ways. From the master's point of view, because it's our third year running and it's blended, so the students would come on site once a month for a Thursday and a Friday, and the other 3 weeks they would be remote, wherever they live around the country. So we actually were already in that space in relation to the master's, where we were able to deliver content practically and, live, and then kind of on demand, asynchronous and synchronous. So our master's students weren't really probably affected all that much. But in relation to some of the modules I teach in Galway, the undergraduates were quite affected, because all of a sudden you're in class on a Wednesday and Thursday, and then you're told, okay, there's no more college. So it was a huge shift, a huge change for our students and for our lecturers, because having that online space and creating content is very, very different to recreate that in a webinar session like this. So there's been a lot of training, there's been a lot of kind of upskilling in that space going forward to prepare us for September, and we are quite well prepared now, but it was an emergency, and we got through, the students got through, we got through it, so we're a lot more prepared now come September. So.
Okay, thanks so much, Laura. Thank you. And somebody's just put in the box, Monica, wonderful support to all of her colleagues at GMIT. So yeah, I can certainly back that up as well, so I can. So Paraic, I'm coming to you just to ask you a few questions. The first one being, what has been your greatest lesson since you moved out to Turla? Beside me, by the way, here out in Turla. What has been your greatest lesson from moving from Spencer Street out to Turla?
Well, we're there 12 or 13 years now. So people told us when we were in Spencer Street that they wouldn't come out, that if we moved out, they wouldn't come out to shop with us. But, I suppose our biggest learning really is that if you provide the environment, if you provide that destination center, that people will travel. And we have customers now coming from Galway, from Sligo, from Oscommon. People will drive 30 to 60 minutes to come to Turlock, because we have the Bayleaf restaurant and Edinburgh Willamills and the garden centre and the pet store. So people see it as a day out. So, I suppose the greatest learning for us is that, if you build it, they'll come, and particularly if there's dwell time and it becomes that destination, they're prepared to travel. So it has been the best move we have made. We wouldn't have survived in Spencer Street, to be quite honest. So we actually moved at a very opportune time, even though the customer feedback at the time was to stay put.
Mm. It's really then the customer experience really has changed for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for the customer providing that experience, you know, and I suppose it's become more than a garden center. People like to see it as a day out.
Yeah. I suppose the next question is, what has been the behavior change on social media over the last few months have you seen? Or have you seen any?
Well, I suppose what we've been surprised with is how quickly people have adapted to the the digital world. How our customers, and remember our customers are that slightly older group that weren't really digitally enabled or aware. We were just extremely surprised how quickly, within days, they were now shopping online and they embraced the online experience. You know, and I suppose it's the other key learning for us was that, you know, the importance of all the touch points, that it's not one marketing media. You know, up to now we would have been using very much the traditional medias, but the blend of digital marketing and traditional local radio, national radio, local press like the Connacht Telegraph, the importance of using other platforms and other medias and blending the message. And also we have taken an approach that when we do a marketing event, we have very clear KPIs for that event. We measure it as closely and as tightly as we can. We don't do it if we cannot measure it. And you know, I suppose the other thing that we learned was the value that was in marketing for the last, because most marketing medias had increased audiences, but their revenue was curtailed, and so there was a lot of value to be got from traditional marketing as well. So they have been the learnings really.
Okay. I have one more question. Another one has come into the chat question, and this is a kind of funny one that came into me privately. And I said, what is your most popular item?
Our most popular item?
Yeah, that people continuously ask you about for like as a product.
Most popular question, is it?
No,
our product.
Product that you sell in the store.
Well, I suppose our biggest success this year has been we ran a national lawn care campaign. We have a home brand that's exclusive to Horkans, and we ran that nationally this year. And that was we call it clickbait within our own company. That was a piece of a product that was in high demand that got people to the website. And once they came there for the product, they filled their basket essentially. So lawn care is always the most popular, simply because everybody's got a lawn and they want to green it up and get rid of the moss, get rid of the weeds. So that has been, but funny enough, a lot of products that we wouldn't have sold in any great numbers have actually trended online very, very heavily. So I'm thinking of things like ant powder. People were buying a powder to kill their ants because they were at home, and they were, so, you know, we might only sell a couple of dozen a year, and we sold thousands this year of it for some unknown reason. But I suppose going back to Laura's point on the Google Analytics, we have the data around that. I was able to see that every day, every minute, the type of products that were dropping into the basket, and having that, you know, the importance of having data, and we use the Google Analytics to be able to replenish the stores, to look at the trends that are happening, and that, you know, how critical that was. So there were a couple of kind of unique, quirky products that sold heavily online. But I suppose the big product for us this year has been the lawn care.
Okay, thanks. And the last question, Sue has just put it into the chat box. Just how did you decide what products to put online, Paraic?
Well, yeah, and here again, Google Analytics is so important, because I ran the figures from January to last Sunday for us, and we sold, on the garden centre side, we sold 1,300 different products, different SKUs, but 23 products gave us 57% of the overall sales. So less than 27. So 27 products accounted for 57% of the sales. And so one of the reviews that we're doing in the business is actually to streamline our range of products to a core range. So, you know, and to curate those properly with proper videos, proper content, to really do what we call the gold star standard around the 80-20 of products. So 20% of products normally give you 80% of your return. And that was very evident for us over the last 5-6 months online. So for us, we're going to really put a hyper focus around a core range of products and curate them really, really well online. Now, we also want the website is used by people to get an insight of the business. So other products we'll have possibly for store only purchase, so that people can see them, research them online and purchase in store. So that was probably a big learning for us, you know, getting really focused around a small range of products, and really put your top sellers, put the big demand items, the thing that you're seeing trending within your stores, get those up online first and foremost, but do a really good job on them. You know, as you would within your store, you would merchandise the best product in the best location with the best signage, with the best content, and you'd have your staff trained really well in them. The same applies online. You need to give it that special treatment in terms of, you know, good photographs, good videos, good content, really sell the product online. Don't just stick it up there, because nothing will happen. And so that's been the learning for us. And, you know, you really need to have somebody responsible for the online. It can't be just an added task for one of your employees. You've got to have a dedicated resource. And we started, you know, Horkans maybe at 14 stores now. Remember, we started in Spencer Street and we started online 10 years ago. And, you know, gradually it has just improved bit by bit. And, you know, we've now got it to a stage where you know, it's a critical part of the business.
Okay, well, listen, thank you so much, Paraic and Laura, for answering my questions, and also for coming on today. Some great comments in the chat box, just people thanking you for your time and also for your knowledge. And I'm handing it back to you, Bernard. Thank you.
Thanks, Anne. Thanks to everybody involved. I'll just round things up by congratulating John Mulroy and Anne Conlon, with Gerard Kelly's help from the Chamber office, for the series of talks, workshops that have taken place in the last 4 weeks. The quality of homegrown business that are household names in Castlebar, from some of the speakers that we've had in previous talks, from Lorraine Hall and the Cleaning Corporation to Aaron and Cafe Rua, Paraic Horkan here today, all helped and backed with support and advice through yourself, Anne, your talk on sales and in a previous workshop, and Laura with her advice and knowledge on digital marketing and the nuts and bolts of how it happens. There really is so much good advice and experience on our doorstep that we can take from these talks. And also we know that out there is courses and funding to take part in those courses to upskill ourselves. So all in all, congratulations to John and his team for the excellent series of workshops that will be available on Zoom. The previous workshops from the last 3 weeks, there's a link which we will post out. You can watch them again, and today's workshop will be posted up on YouTube later this evening, possibly tomorrow. So a link will go out.